Hello, grade 4 learners. I'm Teacher Elle, and today we will explore the fascinating habitats of plants and animals. Alright, class, before we start today's lesson, let us answer first the following questions. What are the basic needs for survival of all living organisms? The basic needs for survival are food, water, air, and shelter. Why is it important to understand where different plants and animals find their survival needs? Understanding where they find their survival needs help us protect their habitats, ensure they can thrive or survive, and maintain a balanced ecosystem. Number 3, can you give examples of living organisms and their specific survival needs? Okay, for examples, we have fish and cacti. Fish need clean water to breathe through their gills, while cacti need dry soil and minimal water to survive in the desert. Now, how do these needs vary among different plants and animals in different places? The needs vary based on the environment. For example, desert animals may need to store water for long periods, while rainforest animals have access to plenty of water but might need to find shelter from heavy rain. Today, we're going to learn how to classify and group different living things based on where they live. That means we'll find out how to sort animals and plants by the places they call home. Before we start, I have some questions for you to think about. Okay, what are your favorite animals? Is it a dog, a bird, or maybe a dolphin? What about plants? Have you ever seen a really cool plant like a giant sunflower or a cactus? Now, think about where they live. Can you imagine where you'd find them in nature? Why do you think they live in those places? For example, why does a cactus grow in a desert, not in a rainforest? Do you think your favorite animal could survive somewhere else? Like, could a dolphin live in a forest? What about a cactus? Could it grow in a swamp? Okay, so these questions help us understand how we can group animals and plants based on where they live. So for example, we might put ocean animals together and forest animals in a different group. Now let's dig a little deeper with some big idea questions. Why do you think it's important for scientists and environmentalists or people who protect nature to know about different places where animals and plants live? How do you think this knowledge help us take care of our nature and keep all the plants and animals safe? So as we go through the lesson, remember these ideas because they will help us understand how to protect the places where our favorite plants and animals live. Are you ready? Let's get started. Now that we know what we're learning today, let's start by unlocking some important vocabulary that will help us with our lesson. We're going to look at some words related to where animals and plants live. Here are some words we'll be working with: home, abode, territory, locale, environment, ecosystem, terrain, surroundings, vicinity. Now let us define the following words. Home. Home is a place where you live, such as a house or a den for animals. Abode. Abode means a place where someone lives, like a nest for birds. Territory. Territory is an area that belongs to an animal, like a lion's hunting ground. Locale is just another word for a place or location. Environment. Environment refers to the area around us, including all the living and non-living things. Ecosystem. Ecosystem is a community of plants, animals, and their surroundings that interact with each other. Terrain. Terrain is the type of land like mountains or flatlands. Surroundings. Surroundings are the things or areas around a particular place. Vicinity. Vicinity means nearby or close to a place. Now, let's move on to some new words that are important for today's lesson. These words are related to the different places where animals and plants can live. Here are the terms: habitat, terrestrial, aquatic, and aerial. But I've scrambled the definitions to make it more challenging. Let's try to match each term with its correct meaning. Number 1. This word describes animals and plants that live on land. What is your answer? Okay, that is right. Terrestrial. Number 2, this term means the place or natural environment where a living thing is found. Very good. The answer is habitat. Number 3, this word refers to things that live in water. That is correct. Aquatic. Number 4, this term describes things that live or occur in the air. Okay, awesome. Aerial. Now that we know these terms, we'll use them to classify different living things based on where they live. Now this time, let us have an activity. Create a chart on your notebook or a large sheet of paper with 3 columns: land, water, and air. Then distribute the pictures of plants and animals listed in the table below. Okay, let's check if your answer is correct. So knowing where different organisms live help us learn about their adaptations, the special features or behaviors that help them survive in their environment. So for example, the tamaraw lives on land and has strong legs for moving through grasslands and forests. This is an adaptation that helps it survive in its habitat. The crocodile and turtle are a bit different because they can live in both water and on land. They have special adaptations like web feet to help them swim in strong shells or tough skin to protect themselves. So these adaptations make it easier for them to survive in both environments. By understanding where animals and plants live, we can also understand what they need to survive, like water, food, and the right temperature. It also helps us learn how to protect them and their habitat so they can thrive or survive. After classifying the plants and animals based on their habitats, let us answer the following questions. What patterns or characteristics did you notice among terrestrial plants and animals? Okay, terrestrial plants usually have thick stems or roots to stay upright, and animals often have legs to move on land. Can you identify any specific adaptations that help these organisms live on land? Plants have thick leaves to store water, and animals may have lungs for breathing air or fur to keep warm. Why do you think terrestrial habitats are important for these plants and animals? Terrestrial habitats provide food, shelter, and space for these organisms to live and grow. Now, why is it important to study and understand terrestrial habitats? Studying terrestrial habitats help us protect plants and animals that live on land. It teaches us how living things depend on each other. So this knowledge helps us solve problems like pollution and deforestation. How can we identify whether a plant or animal lives in a terrestrial habitat or not? If they have features like roots for plants or lungs for animals, they probably live on land. Now, what are some common characteristics or features that terrestrial plants and animals might have in order to survive on land? So the common characteristics or features, examples, plants have thick leaves to store water, and animals may have lungs for breathing air or fur to keep warm. Can you name any specific adaptations that help certain organisms thrive in terrestrial habitats? Example, we have a cacti. Cacti have thick skins to hold water, and birds have claws for gripping branches. As you sort the pictures, what criteria or observations are you using to determine if an organism is terrestrial? Okay, you look for things like legs, roots, or if they seem to need soil to survive. Are there any surprises or interesting discoveries you've made while classifying the pictures? Okay, example we have is the green moose. Green moose can grow on both rocks and soil, not just on trees, but it can also grow in shallow water or areas that are very moist and tolerate temporary submersion in water. So you've made some excellent observations about terrestrial plants and animals. We learned that these organisms have special characteristics and adaptations like strong roots for plants and legs for or lungs for animals to help them survive on land. We also saw that some plants like green moss can live in both moist soil and even grow in very damp conditions. So understanding these adaptations help us appreciate how diverse life on Earth is and why protecting terrestrial habitat is so important. Okay, so keep observing the world around you. The more we learn about nature, the better we can take care of our environment. That's it for today's lesson. Again, I'm Teacher L and thank you for your participation today. Great work, everyone.